he just loves the developmental part. Let's get young guys in, develop them. That's how he won. Yep. I mean, the Giants never won a World Series until Buster Posey showed up.
Everybody, Tim Kawakami here, TK Show, recording from the home studio. As always, I have on as my guest, my friend, although I don't know that you've ever been on my show, John Shea. This is a debut for you in many other ways. You're the rookie in the couple factors here, but you're a great ad, the San Francisco Standard, our Giants baseball writer, John Shea. John, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Tim, it took me all these years to get on your show, and I had to get a new job just to do it. I had to join you, and that took a lot of doing. It took a lot of years, but I finally made the big time.
Somehow, you either rose or you're falling, one of the two. I'm not sure that you didn't enable you to get on the show, but it's great to have you. We'll talk a little bit about it. Great to have you at the Standard with me and David Lombardi. We're kind of accumulating a staff here, and you're our ace in the hole. You're a Giants writer, such an important team. Been at the Chronicle for a long time, though, John. Was that a tough move? How kind of did you go through that process?
Well, first of all, I thought I'd be at the Chronicle forever because that was where I was trending. It was been only 28 years. In 1998, Glenn Shores hired me at the Old Examiner, and after the 2000 baseball season, the Chronicle and Examiner merged, and so there was two of everything. There were two Giant writers, there were two A's writers, and Henry Schulman and I covered the Giants, and Brian Murphy, of Can BR fame, and Susan Slessor, the A's. And so he gave me the choice to be the national baseball writer, and I jumped at it. And they gave Murphy the choice to be the golf writer, and he jumped at that. And so I'm still covering baseball, and he's taken a different career path. But Slessor and Schulman were awesome for many years. Susan's still there, of course, and Henry retiring a few years ago. So to move was something that I didn't expect maybe a month ago, and things happened quickly, and I'm glad they did. I just learned in a hurry all that the Standard is doing and what they're about and where they're going. And I said, man, what a great time in my life and career to transition and, do the things I want to do. And I'm not going to bash newspapers. I'm not going to bash the Chronicle. A lot of people have left newspapers and have done that. I want to see them exist and thrive and do everything. I want them to last forever. And I want the print to last forever. That might not be a thing, but here at the Standard, we're able to step back and provide big picture analysis of the story of the day, the story of the week, anticipate what is to come, hard-hitting stories about the game and about labor, about business, about race, about social issues, health. The game has everything. It's a microcosm of the world, right? And it's been an honor to do this for so long, 28 years at the Examiner and Chronicle. And before that, 5 years at the Oakland Tribune. And before that, Gannett News Service based out of Marin. And before that, I was covering the Padres. Tony Gwynn, still my favorite all-time guy to cover. I went to school with them, blah, blah, blah. Enough about me, but it's just a great thing to be here. And I think you were kind of a big difference maker, if I do say so myself, in terms of you're leaving the Athletic to go to the Standard. Okay. So if you could go, then I could go. And it was that easy. I don't think it was a difficult decision based on everything. I didn't have pros and cons. My mother always said, follow your heart. And I followed my heart, and it led me to the Standard, and I'll never regret it. It'll always be a good decision. And I'm looking so forward to, providing this analysis in the way I'd like to write and, provide information and, why things happen, how they happen. And I just dig it big time. So yeah, the emphasis obviously is the Giants, and I'll be in Cincinnati for the first trip. Then I'll rush back and I'll cover some A's games in Oakland to see what that's all about.
Not Oakland, John Shea. Man, come on now.
I did it.
What is up with you?
Sacramento.
Yeah, don't go to Oakland. I don't think they're going to be there for those games.
I'm still hoping, I guess.
Yeah, John Shea's at the press game. Where is everybody?
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, that is a great story. The A situation, the Giants, obviously interesting stuff. But I'll just say you're perfect. I mean, without us just nodding to each other, but you're perfect for what the Standard is doing, for the ideas. You and I had a lunch before you started, and you started just giving me the ideas that you've had, and that's perfect. That's perfect. That's perfect. That's perfect. It is kind of the bigger picture, but light-footed and thoughtful. These are all things the Standard's been doing on many different areas, and we're hoping to do that on sports. So welcome. I didn't mean to start it that way, but I figured let's just get it out of the way. People want to know about this. You and I have been friends for a long time, and I have told people, and you know this, like the person I get along most is someone I didn't work with on the Giants beat. It was you. Like, you and I would always, like, I think had very similar ideas, similar thoughts, maybe not identical, but yeah, there were many moments where we shared a lot of laughs and shared a lot of ideas. So excellent to have you, John Shea. You pulled a couple stunts on me. I'll never forget them, but maybe for another podcast, some of the funniest things ever that happened to me. John freaking Shea pulled on me. So it goes. John, let's talk about yes. But no, it showed me that you knew what the hell was going on if you could pull it on me, because I have a pretty good sense that I think I know what's going on. Yeah. Okay, you're in Arizona, Giants spring training, the first week or so of games. Let's go to the news. Bryce Eldridge and Mark Luciano were sent to the minor league camp out of major league camp. I think a lot of us were kind of surprised it happened so fast. Eldridge, the great hope of the farm system, still young, obviously still raw. But Luciano, you figured he'd be getting at bats in the major league team. Just what's the thought process there, John? Were you surprised it happened so early in camp?
Yeah, I was. And this is the first round of cuts. And usually it's a lot of names that maybe you're not too familiar with. They're going to start in A ball, or if they're good, maybe double A. But these are the two prized prospects that were supposed to be, big time storytelling, maybe well into March. And we're early March and they're already gone. The top prospect in the organization, Bryce Eldridge, the big 6'7" first baseman who's just learning the position, is 20 years old and hit a storm last year, 4 different levels. And Marco Luciano, the former top prospect in the organization, who's kind of fallen on hard times defensively at short, offensively, with the strikeouts and the low batting averages and the awareness. And so now they're moving him to left field to gain, comfort, and because they like his bat. His bat, they think, could play. Now, a week from now, 2 weeks from now, he could be traded like Joey Bart was in early April last year. Because if they really don't think there's a future, maybe they get some other prospect to replace him in the organization. But, I mean, he's way down on the depth chart in the outfield. He's not even part of the depth chart. And I imagine he'll go down there, play left field every day, get 4 ABs every day, just like Eldridge. And Eldridge, in high school, he was a pitcher and he was a DH. And the Giants drafted him, turned him into a hitter exclusively, but put him in the outfield, mostly right field in 23. And then 24 comes around. Okay, let's try first base. And he's not really there. I mean, JT Snow worked with them this spring, Will Clark last season, Ron Wotus almost every day, and he'll still go down to minor league camp and work with them. So he's got a great upside, but it just ain't happening now. We might see him mid-season. I don't think we'll see him in April because he's just got too much work. This is not the NBA or the NFL where your top pick, your top prospect comes in as an impact player right away. This is baseball. You got to ride the buses. It might be a year before he is really, remember, I mean, there's only a couple of Will Clarks and Buster Poseys who come up quickly and shine right away. And he might be that. He might force himself. There might be an injury. And right now they didn't get a big first baseman, and through the free agent market, it's Lamont Wade Jr. and Wilmer Flores at first. So there you go. I mean, it's there for the taking if he hits and if he defends. And those are 2 big ifs for now.
Yeah, I don't know how much you've been watching him in the field, but is he just slow? Bad hands? I mean, I don't want to rip the guy, but man, I mean, you hear the reports, even Buster's like, he's got to work on that defense. It's like, it's not major league level. What's the problem for him at first, do you think?
It's footwork, it's reps, it's experience. And when I remember talking to JT Snow in his prime when he's getting 6 Gold Glove after year, and someone would say, hey, let's give him a day off. Let's let him play first base, and JT would just, go on fire and say, what are you talking about? That's not a day off. That's a tough position. I mean, other than the pitcher and catcher, you're touching the ball more than anybody. And it's an art, it's a skill. You just don't show up and play first base, especially at this level. I mean, charging a ball, throwing across your body to second base, fielding the ball to your right and lobbing it to the pitcher. It sounds all easy, but the reps is going to make him, and all they want for him is to be an average defensive first baseman, which is pretty damn good in the big leagues.
All right. A lot of word, and you wrote about Willie Adames and kind of a little more old school about him. I think that really plays into what Buster Posey is trying to emphasize. He posts, he plays, he drives in runs. He's a clutch hitter, not exactly an analytical thing. I think it's something Giants fans can buy into. And, you don't want to toss away the analytics, but it just feels like Adames is a central focus. Like, you hear about him, you hear his voice, you see him talking, about Bob Uecker. What's his presence like in that clubhouse, Shea?
It is pretty amazing. And I remember Bob Melvin talking at the winter meetings about how this guy, every day he seems to be in a great mood, looking across the field at the other dugout, or taking ground balls between innings, or just talking to some kid. Like, every day is heaven for Willie Adames. And as a Giant, it seems that way. I mean, he hangs out with a lot of younger players, a lot of Latino players. He hangs out with this new look infield, Matt Chapman on one side and Tyler Fitzgerald on the other. He seems to gel really well. I mean, the man had more RBIs last season than 3 guys. I guess it was Ohtani, Ramirez,
Judge,
and Judge. Yeah. So he had the 4th most RBIs in baseball, and he hit 30 homers. And no Giant has hit, driven in 100 runs since Posey in 12, and nobody's hit 30 home runs since Bonds was around here. So, and then he stole 20 plus bags. So, I mean, and he plays. I mean, the metrics weren't good last year, but for the most part, he plays above average defense. Never been an all-star, but he gives you quality presence every day. I mean, he and Chapman are not going to take days off. They could easily both play 155 games, as they did last year. And that's pretty impressive. So, Casey Schmidt, I'm sorry. You're a great third baseman defensively. You did well at short defensively. You're a prospect now. You kind of got to look to be a utility player. He played second base today, played short or third yesterday. So, unfortunately for him, he might have to start down in the minors and work himself into some kind of super utility guy, because, Fitzgerald seems the guy at second. So there's not a whole lot of room for a lot of these guys. Not many positions open across the diamond. And that includes the bullpen and the rotation, other than the number 5 spot in the rotation.
We'll just say Kyle Harris. I don't know I assume he's in pretty much stitched into that rotation, but I know he got hit hard today. We were talking on Wednesday. Giants, I don't even know. I just saw Harrison got knocked around pretty hard. Is there some question mark about him, do you think, with the team, like not really knowing where he's going to fit in? He's still young, didn't have a great year last year. Obviously, he's young, he's going through it, but the velocity wasn't great, and I don't know what the velocity was today. You think there's a little concern about Harrison?
There is, because the velocity maybe peaked at 92, and there was a whole lot of 90 and 91, and he got rocked in the first inning, got pulled, and because it's so casual down here, he re-entered and started the second inning and gotten beaten up a little bit more. So it was a real rough outing for him. A lot of hard contact, some 2-strike contact. He wasn't putting guys away. The command, I mean, his first start was okay. It was good. It was better. But this one really is a head scratcher. It's early in spring, but when you don't have that velo, and he sat at his locker after his previous start and said, everyone's caught up with the velo, my velo. Yeah, but you're a left-hander who relies on velo, but he said he can get swing and miss without the velo. Well, he didn't get that so much today, and he's really got to prove himself. Landon Roop has a great curveball and has been really effective, and they're going to go with the best guy because they could send him down and not lose him on waivers. So if there's, remember in the minors, he was a strikeout guy. He struck out everybody. He had a great fastball. We're just not seeing that up here for whatever reason. And maybe we will because it's early in spring and these guys build up the velocity. But it was down a tick or two on average versus last year, which was not as good as his velo in the minors.
Yeah, that's not great. Obviously, a lot of interest in Verlander. You've written about him. The guy is Hall of Famer. You plop him in there. I keep saying presence. I do think Posey really looked at that, in his additions this season. And maybe some guys who weren't great presence are no longer on the roster. Do you feel that with Verlander when you're around him?
Yeah, and I think they transitioned quickly off Corbin Burns, didn't they? And
yeah, that was good. They weren't going to be able to pay that one.
They weren't going to, and maybe they didn't want to. They wanted a shorter, less expensive deal, and Arizona said, blew him out of the water and gave him a huge contract. So this is for 1 year and 15. He's 42 years old. He's a future Hall of Famer. He's a right-handed pitcher with just beautiful mechanics. I was out there doing a little video, watching him in a minor league camp the other day, and what a scene that was. There are 2 rows of seats behind the backstop at Papago Park where the minor league players work out every day. And all these pitching prospects showed up once he did, just to sit and watch. And Willie Adames was a batter on the opposing team, and he pretty much hit every other batter because because he can. And he's Willie Adames, and he wants to get the at-bats to get somebody that accomplished. And they know each other. He hit a home run in his first at-bat, and then Justin called out to him and said, "Hey, Willie, did you get that? Did you like the swing?" Because Verlander said later that he didn't think the swing was great and he didn't think the contact was very good. And, obviously the balls fly down here. It might be a warning track fly ball in San Francisco, but it's 40 feet over the wall here. And he said, yeah, so, but it's kind of cool because fans will be there eventually, but there are no games yet. So they don't show up to the minor league facility yet. And it was just me and a couple other few reporters, and we're right behind the backstop, and the mechanics are just so sound at 42. And then he goes in the clubhouse, and there was a scene the other day in which he and Robbie Ray and Logan Webb were talking among themselves about, these are 3 great starting pitchers, right? Webb, the youngest of them all, but 200 innings the past 2 years. They were talking about how to get certain batters out and how to pitch them effectively. And it's just, there's so much wisdom there and so much experience and so much that he shares. And this is his first spring training in Arizona. So it's kind of new to him, different kind of heat. So he's adjusting to that. But I'm sure if they could get 25 starts out of him, they would be happy if he could, get 5-6 innings at least, maybe sometimes 7. That's worth the money. And off the field with what he provides these young players, contract pays for itself.
And he's kind of positioned to start home opener, which I think is smart. Got obviously Logan Webb will start the opener. That's on the road in Cincinnati. You think that was on purpose to try to get Verlander out there in a big moment and, the bunting and the big crowd, the day game, all that stuff?
Yeah, it's all part of it. You use Kyle Harrison. There's a lot of distractions, and Verlander's been through so many opening days, and he's gotten the ball so many times, and he knows when to put, all the anxiety and the chaos and, the anthem, the color guard,
the lineups. Everybody lined up on this on the baseline.
Everybody, yeah. So it could be a distraction for some, but for him, he knows, I think, how to separate it. So he's an obvious choice. And Webb, of course, in Cincinnati, he's throwing the opener. It's not his first rodeo. So yeah, I think that's a good call. That's why they are targeting him as a number 2 pitcher because that would put him in line to throw the opener in San Francisco. That would be a cool day.
He just doesn't want to see Pablo Sandoval in the batter's box for that game.
As he said, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
After Pablo hit that second home run.
Home run. Yeah. I think he threw a good pitch. I think he thought he threw a good pitch, and boom. Yeah. I think I was out to center, if I remember it correctly.
Yeah, there was no wow when Willie Adames took him.
Hey, Buster Posey is clearly the big story. He's taken over as president of the team. He has certainly knows what a camp is like, but is he walking around? Is he available? Is he talking to guys? Kind of what's he doing through these days at camp?
Well, I did that real cool Q&A with him, my first day, and that was really neat to get him and just talk baseball, talk the future, because I just think it's so fascinating that this guy is the president of baseball operations. I mean, I covered him on draft day. I covered him the first day in the big leagues. I covered him rookie of the year, the first championship, the MVP, and the second championship in 12, and then doing it again with the Bumgarner hug after that 5-inning save in Kansas City, and then all the way through 21 when he was so effective. And the way they did it was very nice. That he played 2 out of 3 games every series, and he was effective. He hit well over 300. I was there when he announced that he was going to, take a leave of absence in 2020, opt out of the COVID season, which I, kind of commended him for after, he and his wife adopted these 2 young girls who needed his attention, and he didn't want to, it was tough times back then. Anyone who wanted to opt out, all the power to you, whatever. It's a 60-game season. Dodgers won it all. Did it count? I don't know.
Oh, now you're getting aggregated, Shea. You're going to get me aggregated.
Right. Yeah. So, and then he retires like in his mid-30s. He's got 1,500 hits. Is he a Hall of Famer? Is he borderline? He's got the 3 titles and the MVP and the Rookie of the Year and all that stuff. Batting championship. Well, I would say yes. But more than that, he walks away from the game in his prime, and then takes his family to Georgia. And I said, okay, I guess we'll never see him again. Then comes back, joins ownership as a partner and board of director. And within a couple of years, Farhan is out the door, and Buster's the new baseball boss. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I did not expect that. Maybe 5 years from now, but that it just shows that how dedicated and motivated he is in this position. I mean, he's really concerned about the Giants going in the right direction. He doesn't need the money. He doesn't want to be on buses or billboards. He doesn't need the fame. It's hard to get him in an interview. I did get him. Mm-hmm. And no, he's not around every day, but he comes in and comes out. Zach Menajan is the GM he hired. He might be on the phone a lot more than Buster. He might be seen a lot more than Buster, but Buster's calling the shots. And Buster's, well aware of everything that goes on every day. He's on the cell phone. So I always thought, okay, this is one guy who says, when I want to retire, spend more time with my family. I really believed him. Mm-hmm. And that was the case. And I still think it's the case. I mean, he's in a gig where he can kind of call his shots and be at the yard as much as he wants. But I mean, he's 4 years younger than Justin Verlander.
Yep.
I mean, that's how young this guy is. And I couldn't believe it when I looked that up. I said, I'm thinking, what is he now? 55? Is he like Barry's age?
Yeah.
Coming up on? So I just think it's really cool and fascinating. And I think the fans will give him the benefit of the doubt. They'll be patient with him. If Farhan were still there, I think we'd hear nothing but venom from the fans.
This would be a rough season.
But they trust Buster, and I think they will trust Buster. Maybe even if this team is 500 once again, maybe next year they really got it. And they didn't do a whole lot in the offseason. They got the shortstop and they got the starting pitcher, but he just loves the developmental part. Let's get young guys in, develop them. That's how he won. Yep. I mean, the Giants never won a World Series until Buster Posey showed up, and all these other guys came through the farm system.
Is there a difference just in atmosphere, Noziety and Posey's running the show? Do you feel different? Do you think Bob Melvin is different? What's different this season?
My interview with Pat Burrell, the hitting coach, solidified the difference between then and now. In my standard story, which posted this morning, he actually says stuff that wasn't emphasized in recent years, we are emphasizing, and we are okay with that. In other words, they're trying to play little ball. I mean, Adames was at the plate today, last year, 112 RBIs, 30 bombs. Guy on second, what does he do? He gets a 2-strike count and grounds the ball to the right side for a base hit and an RBI. He didn't try to power up. It's not about launch angle or exit velo. I asked Burrell, I said, are you emphasizing those things? Which in the modern world, I thought everybody did. And he said, no, not necessarily. It's about how much you hit it, not how hard you hit it. And I'm thinking, what year is this? My goodness. What are we, Tony Gwynn now and Wade Boggs? And I just think it's fascinating. It's not like they're doing away with analytics. I mean, we had one of the chief analytic, employees in the press box today, and they are there. They are present. They provide all the information and technology to the coaching staff, and it's up to the coaches to share that with the players. But the players could come to them too. I just don't think it's everything like it was under Farhan and Gabe Kapler. I just think you'll see more, what's the right word? Normal baseball, old school baseball. I mean, they're not changing anything and going back to 1995. It's still about analytics. It's still about technology, but it's also about doing the little thing, getting the guy over, sacrificing yourself, giving yourself up on a sac fly or ground ball to get that guy in, or at the very least, with fewer than 2 outs, move him over from second to third so the next guy can do it. And as Burrell told me, he said the guy in charge, he meant Posey, was here for 3 championships, and our team OPS was average to below average every year. And you look it up, he's exactly right. And they were last in the majors in home runs one year. And it wasn't about the offense. It was about pitching and defense, which Buster said from day one, since he got this job, it's pitching and defense and whatever it takes on offense. Because at that ballpark, we haven't seen a 30 home run guy since Bonds. So Jung-Hoo Lee hits line drives. I think he's going to be effective there. He doesn't hit fly balls unless he just crushes one. But I think the whole idea of trying to hit the ball over the outfielder's head isn't effective at that place. So the next best thing is hit the gaps and hit line drives. And I think Pat Burrell is talking about that to the players every day. And that's a big difference.
Don't strike out as much.
Don't strike out.
Yeah, that would be a huge one. They've got
Marco Scutero is in camp. And Burrell told me he went up to Elliot Ramos and said, do me a favor, go talk to Marco Scutero. Now, if you remember Marco, he had like a 90 to 95% contact rate. He did not miss pitches. And when you put the ball in play, good things can happen. So if you strike out, you just defeat everything. There's nothing, a lot of the analytics people will say a strikeout's the same as a grounder. Well, no, it's not. You could have a bad hop. You could be out of position. All kinds of things can happen with a ground ball. You could throw away. So Elliot Ramos spoke with Marco for about an hour behind the clubhouse. They talk about baseball and life, and basically the importance of putting the bat on the ball. I mean, how basic is that? But it's so cool to see that, and with our own eyes here.
All great stuff, Jay Shea. I do want to talk about your story with Rennell, obviously one of the most popular people remaining still in Giants fandom who's ever been associated with the Giants. Yeah. I know it was, a blurry departure. She clearly wanted to stay. The Giants ended that. But what's her kind of sensibility? What's her feelings about the team? Is this a cold relationship? Is there any relationship at all between her and the team?
Well, she loves the players. Logan Webb, and she loved Crawford, Lamont Wade Jr. I mean, she'd go around the horn. And, she was in love with these players, and the players like Buster Posey, Ronell is the only person who ever introduced him as he walked to the plate in his entire career as a major leaguer. And that's pretty cool. And so there's all kinds of mutual respect. She's so well respected in the clubhouse. And when this happened a year ago now, this month, March 18th, when the Giants came out and said there was a mutual parting of the ways, I think fans kind of realized that it wasn't so mutual, that Ronell kind of wanted to stay. And in this story, you can kind of read between the lines, and it's unfortunate, but the theme of the story is what she's done since then. And she's a huge laundry list. It's in the story. But I mean, even the A's and Ricky Henderson's family asked her to be the MC at the celebration of life. First time I ever saw her in Kelly Green, by the way. She looked good.
Yep.
Cecil Williams, Reverend Cecil Williams. I mean, it's just all across the landscape, people want her to represent different auctions or foundations. And, she got the key to the city in San Francisco. She was honored the Assembly and Senate in Sacramento, Woman of the Year, and all her trailblazing prowess. And, just speaking with her as long as I did, it's just kind of fascinating. She did reveal a couple things, that she's probably going to move out of the Bay at some point during the season. And she also said that she's probably going to sell all her belongings, including a lot of her Giants gear and keepsakes, in an auction. And where's it going to go? Who's it going to benefit? The Junior Giants. So forget what happened. I mean, her loyalty is still kind of with the team. And, she was huge with the Junior Giants and the Giants Community Fund and everything like that. But it's just, she just wanted that one more year so she could go to Rickwood in June in Birmingham, where the Giants and Cardinals played that game, Major League Baseball's tribute to the Negro Leagues, and play a big role. However, she didn't get that opportunity. She ended up going there. It was kind of bittersweet. She didn't play a role, but, I think she had to be there. Lamont said, you got to be here. Players said, you got to be here. So that was kind of powerful. But again, it was bittersweet. And, I think in a perfect world, she would have stayed with the team one more year at least and been the PA person at Rickwood Field, where Willie Mays broke in 1948.
Fascinating stuff, Shea. This is stuff that you talk to me about all the time, and I know this is just perfect for what I want to read. It's perfect for the Standard. It's already been great. You're dominating. The stories are just doing fantastically. Keep it going, Shea. I will end this with a version of a question I ask all my guests. First time I'm ever going to ask John Shea officially. It's a world record for amount of time it's been built up to get to this point. Shea, what's your favorite movie?
Oh my gosh, we just saw the Oscars the other day, and I was kind of disappointed that A Complete Unknown didn't dominate as much as I thought it might have. A fascinating movie. I mean, someone who loved Dylan as a kid and that whole era and genre of music. And it was kind of cool. And I read a lot about it going in. I read a lot about it going out. It wasn't, 100% accurate. Things didn't happen that you saw in the movie. But it wasn't a documentary; it was Hollywood. So, I just love actors who spend a lot of time on the craft, because he sang. Same with the Johnny Cash movie; they sang.
Whoa,
that was them. It wasn't Johnny Cash, and it wasn't Dylan. Voicing over. So it was a lot of hard work, and it's just not easy to play the guitar, to learn the guitar, and to learn to sing and, play these roles. And, Joan Baez and Bob Dylan, I think the younger generation probably get a big kick out of those two people and the music and what they both meant to society at the times, and maybe still do.
Tim Chalamet, that guy's a movie star. Monica Barbaro also was nominated for an Oscar. Those are monstrous performances. I don't know what you did there. Loud crouching noises during that last response there, Shea. I don't know what you did. That was coming from your room. There's somebody pounding on your walls or something.
I don't hear anything. No.
Yeah, something happened over there. You kicked something or something. It was just huge noises.
Really?
You scared the hell out of me with it. But we live on. We continue. If you, as long as you're okay, blink once if you're okay. Blink twice if there's anybody right on top of you and threatening you. That was scary. All right, Shea.
You can edit that out, and you can also edit out that I called them the Oakland A's.
We're leaving that one in for
I like that one. Actually, I like that one.
I'm just going to picture you just at that press gate in Oakland Coliseum going, "Where's everybody? I got a game I got to cover." Yeah, just go right up the freeway there. You'll get there eventually. Sure. All right, Shea, thank you so much. This was your first, it will not be your last time on the TK show. Great talking with you. Great working with you, man.
Thanks, Tim. Thank you, sir.
All right, everybody, show for today.